I'm Destiny, and welcome to Let's Grow Something. Last year, I bought a house that came with a wild mess of a garden. So this year, I've decided I'm going to tackle that project and document my first year. So I first got into gardening back in 2020 when, like a lot of people, I had a lot of time on my hands. I had plans to move in a couple of years, and so I just planted some containers on my deck and planted just a few simple things. And what happened was, while I didn't get a lot of production out of that, I did discover a love for gardening that I've kept to this day. So when I bought my house last year, I knew I wanted to have a big garden this year. And I figured, you know what, you only get to do things the first time, one time. So I was going to document my journey, whether it's going to be a huge success or if I'm going to completely fail and let everything go midsummer. So today I just wanted to take a few minutes and to just go through what I'm growing and my plan for my garden. First, I'm going to start off by just telling you a little bit about what I'm growing as a beginning gardener with a small space. So my first thing that I absolutely love is tomatoes. And I'm growing 3 different varieties of slicer tomatoes this year. Nothing too crazy. The first one I'm growing is a striped German tomato. These I absolutely fell in love with last year. I was able to get some at a local orchard that were grown on the premises, and they just had such a good tomato flavor. And they weren't overly seedy, and they're just a great tomato. These next 2 kind of have really strong followings from what I've seen, so I'm interested to try them too. A Paul Robeson tomato. This is more of like a purple tomato. And the package says it's an orangey purple green beefsteak with exceptional flavor, resist cracking. So I am super excited about that one. And then just because why not, I love yellow tomatoes as well. So I'm growing the Dr. Witchies, however you pronounce it. And so those are the only 3 slicer tomato varieties I'm growing this year. I'm going to grow 6 plants of them. So I'm going to have 2 of each kind. And I think, you know, right now it's just my son and I, so I think that's going to be plenty of tomatoes for us to eat, as well as, you know, share with friends and family. I am growing a few more varieties of cherry tomatoes, just because, you know, they're good to snack on and for salads and things. The first one I'm growing, and I'm growing this one solely for the size because it was so cute and I just can't resist having a tomato that teeny tiny, which is the spoon tomato. I planted a couple seeds of these and then I only had one come up and it's looking pretty spindly and not the healthiest, so we will see how it does, but I'm really rooting for it because I don't know, I've just never eaten a tomato that tiny before. The next one is an Italian type that I'm not going to try to pronounce because I don't want to embarrass myself too much, but when I looked it up, it was winter grape when it was translated. That's the only, other than the spoon tomato, is the only red variety I'm growing this year. The next one, I think all of these might be from Wild Boar Farms. I don't know. We'll have to see, but Barry's Crazy Cherry, which is a yellow tomato that a lot of people love. So we'll see about that one. And then I'm growing the blue creamberry, which looks really interesting with the purple coloring. The Sunrise Bumblebee. And then Brad's Atomic Grape. I've heard that these are kind of tomatoes that you either love them or you hate them, and they kind of almost taste like, have a hoppy note to them. So they taste a little bit like beer. I love beer. So we'll see whether or not I like these, but it was just the coloring on them was so cool. There's something really nice about having, you know, colorful tomatoes growing in your garden. And I'm the type of person where I will only eat tomatoes during the summer. I don't like them from restaurants. I don't like them from the grocery store. They are mealy, they're watered down tasting, they have no flavor, they're mushy, they're gross. So I tend to, it's weird because I love tomatoes in the summer and love just eating them. But if I get a sandwich out or anything, I will either ask for no tomato or you'll see me pull it off. And then the next thing that I am growing is squash. And I'm keeping it really simple. I don't have a ton of space. Summer squash, and I am just growing a couple different types. Super basic. The first one is a Ford Hook zucchini. I think this is similar to a Black Beauty. It's just going to be, you know, your basic green zucchini. And then I am growing two different kinds of yellow squash, the early prolific straight neck. And then this other one I did grow last year in a container, and we really loved it. It was called a butter dish. So again, it's just a basic yellow straight neck squash. And our favorite way to eat them, while not the healthiest way, is to boil them a little bit until they're most of the way done. Drain it off really well, and then cook it down in some either cream or half and half. I have used milk when that's all I have, and salt and pepper with some butter, and make like a creamed squash. Again, not healthy in the slightest, but it is so delicious, and it's a favorite around here. And let's see, let's talk about green beans. So I'm growing, turns out, mostly bush beans. I only have one kind of pole bean this year so far, and that is just a Blue Lake pole bean. I also have a Blue Lake bush bean, which I don't know if I'm going to grow this one yet or not. I'm definitely going to grow the Dragon Tongue bush bean. And I think I'm also going to grow a Contender bush bean. And then this other one that I have, this pack is old and damaged, but it is the Red Swan bush bean. And these really do grow pretty bright red. I grew them last year in containers, and I really, really like them. Now I want to talk about peppers. I am growing just a little basic supply for bell peppers. I am just growing a California Wonder. That's it. Nothing too exciting about that. I got the seeds from Baker Creek for mine, but you can get plants at Home Depot or Lowe's, and the seeds there as well. This is a pretty straightforward one. And then I am also going to grow a non-spicy jalapeno called a Nada-pino. So that might be nice for stuffing or putting up and slicing into things where you want that flavor but not necessarily hot. I know my son doesn't really like hot things that much. And I am also growing a Corbaci sweet pepper. These are just interesting looking to me, and I was excited to try them to see if maybe I like them in salads or in cooking. And what else am I growing? Not hot. A shishito pepper. I've never had these. And they actually, I've seen them for sale in the produce department at Walmart. However, I didn't want to get them from there because chances are they're not going to taste as good as what you can grow, and I was afraid if I got them then I wouldn't want to try them homegrown because maybe I wouldn't like them. I'm not a huge fan of peppers. I don't hate them. I think they have their place or something, you know, that I like diced up in things, whether it's, you know, tuna fish or chicken salad, potato salad, or salads, or, you know, and cooked into dishes, but it's nothing I'm like, ooh, there's a pepper, let me go grab it and snack on it. And then for hot peppers, I'm only growing a few different types. The first is a hot jalapeno. I'm growing the Craig's Grande. These are supposed to get nice and big, and just, it seems like it'll be a really good pepper to grow. And then I'm growing a Serrano to use in salsa or just to have a little spice in cooking. And then finally, I am growing just a basic cayenne pepper that I'm planning to ground down into powder to use for cooking. Right now, currently in my garden, I do have some things growing. I have two types of beets. I have a Detroit Red and a Golden Beet. I'm not sure those are doing super great. We'll see. Again, like I said, I'm new to growing all of this stuff. I don't even really like beets. So you'll see when you go out and look at when I show you my garden, there's not going to be a large swath of those. I'm just going to try, I figured anything I don't like to eat, I'm going to see how it is roasted and see if I like it that way. I'm also doing that with radishes. I just have a basic red radish growing, and then a French breakfast. and that's it. I don't really like the peppery flavor of radishes. But again, I grew enough, so maybe I can get a meal or two out of them roasted. And then if I like them, then, you know, I'll plant more of them or grow more next year and make it more of a focal point. The other thing I'm growing have out there right now is carrots. I have Atomic Red and the Danvers Half Long, as well as I have one kind of turnip and one kind of rutabaga. I do like those. I've got homegrown cucumbers. Usually ended up tasting bitter, and you have to make like a cucumber salad or something like that with them. And the ones from the store don't have that, so I tend to gravitate towards that. I do know that I've since learned that they tend to just get bitter when it gets hot, so I'm gonna give them a go again. The first one I'm planting is just a basic pickling cucumber. I'm gonna try it. I'm going with the Parisian pickling cucumber. And then for just a regular slicer, I'm going to give the silver slicer a shot. It's upside down. This is one that I know Jess over at Roots and Refuge Farm has raved about, that it does pretty well when it starts getting hot out, and it's versatile enough that you can eat it as like a slicing cucumber, or you can, you know, it'll stand up and you can make pickles out of it. And the final, I guess, type of cucumber, it was listed as that on Baker Creek, but I'm not really sure, just is the Mexican sour gherkin. I have never eaten these, I've never grown them, but honestly, they just look so cute as like little mini watermelons that I figured, you know, I'll grow a plant of it and see how it does and whether or not I think it's worth growing in the future. The only other thing I need to speak about as far as actually what's going to be growing in my garden is melons, cantaloupe, as well as a sugar baby watermelon. And then I'm also growing a Kajari melon, because those seem really neat, and again, people rave about them and how good they are, so I'm going to give that a shot. So none of my melons, I'm not going to try to trellis any of those this year. Like I said, this is my first year really planting a garden. So, but my cucumbers, I am going to try to figure out a way, whether, I don't know if I want to trellis them up, try to do it up tomato cages, which I currently have, or I've been thinking about just, they make A-frames that you can buy on Amazon for like $40, or yeah, I'm not really sure. I know my pole beans, I am most likely just going to get some garden stakes that you buy at Home Depot and some just jute twine, and I'm going to make my own trellis out of that, pretty inexpensive, and I know they're light enough that they can handle that. Those kinds of trellises only last one season, which that, you know, they're inexpensive enough that that doesn't bother me if I just have to recreate it somewhere else. So now I will insert a clip that I took of my garden. So thank you for joining me, and next up, I'm hoping in the next week or so to go ahead and get all my seedlings planted and go from there. Bye! Alright, so here is my garden space. It is a complete mess right now, but we are getting it ready and dealt with. It's about a 20 by 20 foot space, and this is where the bulk of everything I'm planting is going to go. I'm gonna put my tomatoes in the back, and then some squash plants and peppers and maybe some beans in there, I don't know yet. And then more up front will be the melons and things like that. And then I'm trying to playing around with different things to trellis my cucumbers on, but that's where the bulk of it's gonna go. I did get some stuff planted already. Let's see if we can climb in here. That has nothing, I just put that there, but it's labeled as Coreopsis, but I think I put the marker in wrong because that very much looks like radishes. And then I did have radishes in this area, and then I planted some beets, which are off to a slow start. They're just, looks like I might have some coming up in here, I don't know. And then carrots are, which one was that? Yeah, those are some carrots. And then this is labeled as carrots, but this is very much radishes. I think it was just off a little bit. Maybe that's turnips. I don't know, I've never grown turnips, but I did this year. Turnips, rutabaga, more radishes. And then here I have it labeled as bachelor buttons. So it looks like I might have gotten a couple to come up, or it just could be weeds. There's a lot of weeds in here too. I have not weeded this yet. And then down here I did some parsnips and some beets, and I was out here weed eating and stuff, so it's hard to see what's coming up. And then over here I planted some calendula, but I don't think any of that actually came up, or something ate it. But this is what I'm working with. Pretty basic. It's a mess right now. I had to come in and weed eat yesterday because the first like warm day in late winter, I came out and got overexcited and removed all the plants that I had thrown down on here with ground cover, and then I just have not been back. Had a lot of time to do anything else to it, or it's been cold and rainy on the weekends. But so we'll see. Now, right now, yesterday I came out and started just turning this back area over with a shovel just to get the soil mixed up. I did find an earthworm in here yesterday in a different part, so I didn't want to go too deep with it, but this is where my tomatoes are going to go, so I'm going to come across here and just spread some bad garden soil to give everything a little boost. And then of course I'll fertilize as I plant as well. I'm thinking this whole side here is just going to be my like walkway, and then I'll probably start my peppers or squash or whatever else I'm planting about here. And then I just want to make sure my melons have enough room to ramble, because I don't think I'm going to trellis them this year. That might be, if I get more, end up putting more raised bed garden beds in. I do have a couple that I will show you. And again, forgive the mess. This is work in progress. I just put this guy in today. Back up. That's what I spent my morning doing. It's gonna rain. So I wanted to get that in before the rain happened at least. And then this right now is a spring bed. So again, just some more beets, radishes. The two plants down here in the end are Brussels sprouts. And then these next 4 plants are cabbages. The only thing I know about the size difference is I did up pot the ones on that size, and I didn't up pot the smaller ones that are in the back or in the front, however you're looking at it. So maybe that's why they're, you know, such a different size, is doing that. And then in the center, the little girls next door helped me plant some peas that I am trellising on this old tomato cage. And then down here on the end, these 2 sad little plants are broccoli. Again, there's more radishes in the middle. And then I didn't think I planted radishes there, but maybe they just got washed out here because the seeds are kind of small. But I also planted some lettuce. So that's it for now. I would like to, and ignore the long grass, but I would like to eventually get out here and put some more raised beds in. But my neighbors have some pretty big trees next door, so I just don't know quite what I'm going to do. So after I put this bed in and started filling it, I noticed it looks really kind of cattywampus and wonky. And I don't know why. Maybe the ground's not completely level, or I just didn't make sure it was straight when I put it down, but whatever, we're just gonna go with it.